Okay. Hello. I hope you can see me well and you can hear me. And I'm happy to see already some in the chat. So welcome, especially Bruno. Hi, good to see you. Um, yeah, today I wanted to just uh, jump on a live call here and show you how I illustrate on the iPad because I wrote an article about my children's book, The Wrong Planet. And they asked me to offer some illustrations as well. So I did that. Let me know in the chat if you actually can see me and can hear me. And we will start. So I will just have the iPad here. You can ask me any questions in the meantime if you want to. I will have a look at the chat too on the side. So let's start. I've prepared in Procreate. I've prepared already two files with pencil sketches because what I always do, that's one of the first things I wanted to show you as well, is I basically start with pencil sketches. I upload them to my iPad and I place them in Procreate. So what I will do is I will make most of them invisible, start with just a random first one, and I will add 3 layers on top. So the first layer will be the lines. Let me see if that works. Let's get rid of this, lines. And then the second one will be shadows. It doesn't work this way. Let's see, this way, no, cut, shadows. Sharks, no, not sharks. Let me see if I can get my, here we go. Shadows. And the third one will be our color. So I always work with these 3 layers, and it's always the same, basically the same. The shadows, for the shadows I change the opacity. In German it's Deckkraft, the opacity, to 50%. So I have a nice shadow effect, and I would start on the line layer. So with the lines, I choose a black, or like close to black. It's not a, sometimes it's not a pure black. It's somehow like a 95% black. I like that more. I have a line brush here, and I will have to adjust the size a bit to see what fits well for this type of illustration. I guess it's somewhat 25%, and we will see. Okay, so let me just double check if the live is here. There is something going on. I think that works well, I hope. Yes. I had a warning, and we will see if that still works. Seems so. It seems so. And let me know in the chat if everything works. I hope so. Please let me know. Yeah? Cool. Good. And hopefully you don't only hear me, but you see me as well, Bruno. So what I do is, I have my line layer, I have my shadow layer, I have my color layer on top of the photo. And then, just for comfort reasons, I zoom in quite largely. And what I do is basically a copy and paste job. So I first test my lines if they are in terms of the size. So I'm be a bit sloppy with the lines now, just to see quickly, is that like a strength of the lines that I would like to see in the overall illustration. And I have to say, I find them a bit weak. So I will undo the lines, and I will adjust the size a bit. Let's see, 35, 34. might be something that works better. Wrong layer. Always be aware that you work on the right layer. And then I would go through it, and it's more like a meditative exercise actually, but trying to create quite dynamic strokes, sometimes doing undo, but not falling into the trap of perfectionism, which can happen if you draw digitally, right? This is really a challenge, because when you are able to do or to click undo, you actually will do it way too often in many cases. At least that's true for me. So I will do that. I will just double check again. Am I good now? Let's see. Here we go. And I think that will be a line strength that I would enjoy seeing in an article. I'm using the app Procreate, which is written like this, Procreate. And I like Procreate because it gives me the controls that I need for the drawing, especially for the lines. I'm big in line work, as you know, and therefore I'm using Procreate. So what I would do now is continue and continue drawing. What I like to do is with these kind of lines that they're a bit more straight, even though they are not like perpendicular or something, but they are straight. So you have a long hold and you get straight lines here. Gives a bit of structure to the whole drawing. Something is vanishing here. We have some notes on the side here that I'm drawing, and I like to add a pin or something and a quick person to indicate I've drawn something, I've written something. We have some post-its because in the story I'm telling how I organize my knowledge with post-its. So I'm drawing this here, and you see on the left side there will be way more. So this illustration should just transport the message of using post-its, externalizing your thoughts onto a surface. In my case, it's drawing and writing, connecting the dots somehow. I'm in the middle and I'm trying to figure out the big picture. And this is basically when I start, for example, writing a book and working on a book. This will be always the same process of, okay, what do I have right now? Where am I right now with my knowledge and the things that I have in my computer files and the research I've done and whatnot. So everything. What do I have? And how does it connect? Or is there any connection in between those ideas? And I'm trying to show as well that this process is not always straightforward, but it's basically a search. Not the illustration itself is a search, right? But it's a search for where are my ideas? What do I actually know? And by interconnecting everything and finding the hidden nuggets of knowledge or the insights that we have, that I had, and perhaps even didn't recognize I had. So that is the process I do. And I hope that this illustration would actually display a bit of that process, because that's what I'm right about in that paragraph. So I always use those lines for indicating there's something written if I don't want to write something specifically. And really trying not to focus too much on, again, perfectionism, but just getting the lines down. And you see it's growing pretty quickly. And now only I am missing. So you can start anywhere. I mean, if you have prepared like a pencil sketch like I have here now, then you don't need to start at the head or something. You just start wherever you want to. If you would draw from scratch, don't have a pencil sketch prepared, I most likely would start with the head because that gives you a bit of the proportion of the rest of the body and how you want to draw it. So I would start with the head, but in this case I'm just following my own line. Sometimes I'm changing like a few bits and pieces off it, but yeah, not too much. I don't care too much if it's not like fitting perfectly or something. Again, it should be an illustration and not too perfect on that end, right? So, and if you look too close at a hand like that, of course it looks a bit awkward, but we don't care. So I did the sketch with pencil on paper, and then just took a photo, and just took a photo with a phone, basically. And if I would be more efficient, I would have done the photo with the iPad actually, because I needed to transfer the photo from the phone to the iPad. But yeah, I did the phone photo to the iPad, and then back. So I see now that I have done the shadow layer too dark. It's not 50%, it's 25% is better. So once I've finished the lines, I would just draw the shadows. As these illustrations will be pretty small in the final article, I don't care too much about too many details, because I could add multiple layers, for example, for the shadows, so they overlap. But to be fair, for me that would be now too much work compared to the outcome of like the thing. And yeah, we have here the case, I had this small, like, do you see here, like a small wiggle in the shadow? It disturbed me, so I corrected it. But yeah, let's do an undo. You shouldn't, and I shouldn't do that too often, because it slows down the process so much, and it takes away from that natural stroke. Or here, you see the over the edge thing a little bit. Don't care too much, just leave it here, because it gives that natural vibe to it. So basically it's just going quickly through it, finding all the places where we need a shadow, and doing that. Like this one a bit bigger because it's a bigger shape, all the paper, the strange hand, the post-it notes, all get shadows, and the book as well will get shadows. I think the book would benefit as well from a shadow inside the shape, because here's an overlap and here's an overlap, and then I would give it here like a bit of a shadow too. So this way, perhaps the sun a bit, and this one too. So now we got shadows and lines, and you got a microphone echo. I'm not sure how this comes. I hope it will stop soon, because it should be just the Yeti. It should be just the Yeti phone. Now, I hope it's okay again. And you will, after you've done the shadows and the lines, you can actually get rid of the sketch underneath, and you see it's nice and clean. And then we can continue with the color. So I normally use orange, and let me know if the echo continues, Bruno. So we have to figure out what happens. But now we want to have a bit of color, not too much, because we don't want to disturb the article too much. What I normally would do is I would color a person and then do the rest, right? So I would do I color the person, and I'm a bit lazy. I just fill the thing. So I don't fill the whole thing. I just go around the edges here, like this, and then I drag and drop the rest. It's way faster than fitting that. Like this one might be small enough to just fit it. again, if I don't hit all, like, if there's a small white space or something, I would do a wiggle down here just to make it feel not too clean, like this, right? As if somebody would have drawn with markers. And then we do a little bit of color here. I would say a little bit of color. Let's fill this one here completely as like a piece, but then spear the figure so it gets like a negative, like this. And that way I'm working through. Here we have perhaps orange tape. It's just playing a bit with the color around. A bit here. A bit here. The sun, of course. And perhaps, I'm not sure, should we color this piece here as well from the book? Let's see if that works, if we color in here. That might not work, so let's see. Because the edges might not look good. Nah, I don't like it. Perhaps we assume that there is like just a small edge. And here as well. Let's see if that works. Nah, doesn't work too well. So let's keep it like this. And this will be actually our first illustration. Okay? So we continue with that, and as I see more people joining the chat, so feel free to ask questions and I will answer them in between. This will be our first sketch, and then we can basically make it invisible again, open up the next photo that I did here, and then add the 3 layers. I won't name them again, but they are lines, shadows, and colors. So I would reduce the opacity of the middle layer, and I would start again with the colors. As you see, I've always kept the same brush for just the sake of easiness, and I think the picture is a bit too small compared to the other one, so let me just make that a bit bigger, slightly like this. And don't forget to choose the line layer again, because yeah, it happens so often that you draw like a full hour in the wrong layer, which is yeah, annoying. So what we do again, we just trace our lines. We try to be dynamic. It's not so important that we hit every, like this is not too bad. Sometimes my perfectionism comes through and I try to hit it, but it's more about having a good swing, having like a fast dynamic stroke, playing a bit with the pressure of the pen to have those, you see those dynamic things happen by the pressure of the pen. So I'm low pressure, high pressure. And then I try to have low pressure first and then higher pressure to create that little bit of dynamic stroke. Often enough, it's most pressure in the middle, and then I have like fade out at the beginning and the end. I'm using multiple sketches in a file because it's just quicker for me to prepare them, and I would then, as well as especially Procreate is not the best app in terms of organizing your drawings. So the more individual drawings you have, the more difficult it becomes to organize them. So for this article, I have prepared 2 files because otherwise they would get too big and I can't use enough layers. But I have prepared 2 files that contain each 4 drawings. So I only have basically 2 files in my Procreate app that I have to like organize and find again, basically, right? When I'm searching for them and when I'm trying to organize them, compared to 8 drawings. It's a bit annoying with Procreate, I must admit, because you don't have a search function and you only can scroll through it step by step, and it is quite annoying. So yeah, that's why I'm using individual drawings, and not individual paintings, so to say. So let's see how I will do this here. I was assuming I could do a white heart without an outline. Let's see if that will work. This drawing is the story, by the way, about how Kaya and the Apple Tree came to life, my children's book. So it's one of my children's books, but Kaya and the Apple Tree is a drawing, like a picture book I created for our daughter. So she has severe scoliosis, and she was in a clinic last year with my wife for a few weeks, and my wife said she would like to get post, like our daughter would like to get post. And I thought, what could I send her? I'm a creative. I shouldn't send her just postcards from the post office. So I wrote a book, and every second day I would send her a new part of the story of the book via post. And yeah, she really liked it and enjoyed it. It was nice for me as well, though. So here we go. We have the shadows and we have the lines, so we can get rid of our sketch. And here we have our line work. And I can, of course, get rid of the lines when I have done the first sketch, but I don't know. I somehow enjoy it, like I like this feeling of still being on a paper. I don't know. So it's just my last step when I reduce it. So and Baselift, you asked a good question. In your opinion, where do these kind of illustrations come into play in the general day-to-day running of a company? So I would say, I mean, the special thing that I'm doing today here, the pure illustration, is not directly a day-to-day thing, I would say. It is, but saying that is, if you have the ability to sketch yourself, or you know somebody who can do it, or you hire somebody who could do it for you, right? These sketches could become part of your presentations, and you could display like a whole concept or idea that you have with just a few sketches rather than 20 slides or something. And you could explain your ideas as a way of storytelling and not just PowerPoint slides of text. So that will be my general answer to that. Of course, when you are like a business person and you're busy with preparing meetings and running meetings and presentations, it might feel a bit daunting to do the illustrations yourself. But then, from my experience, when you create like pictures of things that you want to show to somebody else, some elements are clarifying themselves while you're doing them. So I would highly appreciate or advise to just test it. So here's our second illustration done, and this tells the whole story. I could do 5-10 minutes presentation on just this picture, as you see, or when I make these invisible again, and we take this illustration, I could talk about a lot of things just with this illustration too for a while. So I guess that's, in terms of day-to-day running a company, it's a communication tool. And they don't have to be as, how would you say, perfect or detailed or slick. Do you say slick? You don't have to have like the perfect illustrations for this, or what I do here, because what I do here right now, that's for an article in a magazine. So it should be nice, and it should be like flowing good. If you have a presentation that you do one time and then not again soon, they don't have to be as perfect, right? They don't have to be super detailed. They don't have to be completely thought through. But if it's the case, like for me now, is okay, I know this will be printed in a magazine. Feels like more important to me that I have like really good and thought through illustrations rather than doing very quick sketches. And that's why I as well use the approach of the pencil sketches to say, okay, how can I, with a pencil, I can search better. I can search for what I want to say, what I want to express, way better with a pencil and paper than in a digital way, right away. So we were published in a magazine, Bruno, it's only German. It's from Austria, and it's called Schreibräume. And I will talk about the process of writing children's books, and another awkward hand, but if you zoom out and you see the gesture, it's working actually. So the article is about how and why I write my children's books and where I get my motivation. And the editor of that magazine saw my children's book, The Wrong Planet, and they really liked it, and they wanted me to write an article. So Schreibräume. Let's see. I write it in the chat. But as I said, it will be in German. And with this illustration, I wanted to tell the story of me actually figuring out that I am autistic myself, and having the feeling that I'm seeing myself for the first time in the mirror, actually. Never seen myself that way before. Never knew I could be autistic. Never had an idea of being autistic. You see that line here, by the way, drawing that multiple times, because normally what I would do, and it's a bit tricky for the recording. What I would normally do is I would draw that line this way. So much easier than this way, right? So I would turn the iPad around, but I don't want you to get seasick. But it feels so much better to draw that line this way. And when I figured out that I'm autistic, it was like looking in the mirror for the first time, really. Seeing myself. Having a bit of an identity crisis. But that's what I'm writing about in the article on this piece. And I thought this would make sense, right? Would it? And the brush I use, Bruno, I think you subscribe to my newsletter, you have access to a folder that's called Procreate. I can send that again in my next newsletter. And there I'm using the custom brushes here. And build them for myself to have the perfect fit, basically. Do you think that presets and graphic collections could work for non-designers, or does meaningful, useful illustration require? No, I think pre-created illustrations or like icon libraries or drawing libraries are super powerful, because you can just like drag and drop them. And this type of illustration is very custom, and not many elements are something that I have drawn before many times, right? Just the light bulb here. I have drawn the light bulb like 20 gazillion times in my life. But when I would draw for a normal presentation, I would actually use the same icons all the time. I would say my standard visual library contains like 40 to 60 icons that I use all the time. And then only for very special occasions, like situations, I would use more custom drawings or something. Like what I do today is more an exception to the norm, I would say. So yes, definitely have a file, a folder or something where you have those pictures, right? And definitely building it over time, growing over time. We have done this for customers already, like build visual libraries and drawn them visual libraries, because they can't draw themselves, but they want to use the visuals, so they can drag and drop them to basically to their presentations. So here's a question for this illustration, because I think, because I see myself for the first time in the mirror, I want to keep this person white. I want to do this person orange to show the difference, right? And then let's see, perhaps I do the whole thinking bubble orange and keep the people white too. So all the people on this end are white. My thoughts are orange as well. My true self is orange. I think that could work, right? So I add the color here. And please feel free to continue asking questions if I didn't answer your question in the best way. But really, it's super helpful to have a visual library that you can drag and drop things off, because you will use like the same things over and over again. You will talk about the same topics all over again, because you might have a special field or something. So absolutely. So this orange, we keep this white, and we do the whole thinking bubble. If we want to have the whole thinking bubble orange and don't want to draw the whole thing, we just have to basically close this gap here, check for other gaps. I think that's fine. And then in Procreate, you can actually say reference. It's called in English, it's reference. If you have reference, you go to a layer underneath. It will identify the lines, and you can just drag and drop it. So that's way easier. I will undo the reference now, so it will not mess up later. And then I only have to erase the orange from the people here for my idea to keep people white, my thoughts orange. Here we go. This is always like a slower task in terms of erasing stuff. I will change the size of my erasers soon when I have cleared the edges. So the edges are way better to clear with the smaller eraser, and then you can make it bigger to just save some time. You see, like, I try to be a bit perfectionistic here, because don't want to have those white blitzers out of the shapes. Right, here we go. Let's see how that looks like. I think that makes complete sense to see that the thoughts and myself in an orange completely. Why not using a new layer for this test? That's a good question. I think I could erase it quickly. I have done it on a separate layer with the color layer, so there's no harm done. What I would do is create a separate layer now, which is a bit like, and it has to go over this one here, and perhaps it should go even over the lines. No, it should go under the lines, and I want to have a very light blue. I'm not sure if you will see the light blue in the camera here, but with the mirror that you have here is the mirror. Let's see what I wanted to say. Let me just grab a quick. I've got green tea. I'm trying to drink less coffee. Something I can recommend to you as well. So what we want to have is like basically these kind of strokes on the mirror to show that this is a mirror. And let's see how big this is. It's too big. Okay, let's draw two bigger ones and perhaps a smaller one here. And this looks scary now, but it's on a separate layer, so don't fear. We get rid of the overlaps like this. And then again, we can try different things. So we could either try doing like a multiply thing, but that's basically not working well, I think. Doesn't look too good. So the multiply doesn't work. So let's go back to normal. But what I think what would work is just lowering the opacity. That looks good. That looks fabulous. So just lowering the opacity of that layer and having that blue gives that, at least for me, I'm not sure how you see it, gives you that feeling of, okay, it's kind of a glass surface or something. So I like that. The limited number of colors work like a creative constraint, as well as when you will see all the pictures together afterwards. Let's see, like you have, for example, this one here. So let's see, we do this and this as a group, and then we have this, and this as a group, and then we have this as a group. So now when you see it, you have this picture, you have this picture, you have, oh, what happened? Did I erase something? I know it's not in the group. Shoop. Quick shock moment, and you have this picture, this picture, this picture, this picture. Somehow they all fit together with the same color. Echo is back. I don't know what the echo is about, Bruno. I really don't know, because I'm using the Yeti microphone and nothing else, and there is no sound and nothing. I hope it goes away very soon. So the Atom Mini, let me see if the Atom Mini is creating a, but it's only for the camera. I don't know, I hope it goes away, right? Let me know, please, Bruno, if it's too annoying. Okay, and then we have the last piece. So again, we do the opacity reduce for the shadows and show our picture. Oh, this one I did actually already, so we can skip that one. I did that separately. So what I would do now is I go to my gallery and perhaps I make this invisible and show a finished one. So I see that this one is finished. And then I go to the next one. I have 4 pictures, make them invisible, and again start the same process. So it's always the same process. That's what I like about illustration and drawing as well. It gives you a bit of that like safety area of knowing you do something that you have done multiple times, gives you some security. So we start with the lines again on the iPad, or basically on like any digital device that you have. I would recommend you zoom in a lot. Don't draw like on paper with the same zoom all the time, but leverage the technique that you can use and the tools that you have to the best, and zoom in and out to maximize your outcome in the best way. Stars are always tricky, right? Like this. And then we have, I don't know why I wanted to draw like a globe like this, but if you want to draw like a globe on Procreate and you hold the pen, you can actually have the like help with the shape. And now this shape is not round, but if I add a second, I could add actually this one. And yeah, to be fair, for like if a globe is in the center of a drawing and it's as important as this globe is, I might really use it. But then again, I think the perfect circle is not good as well. And I do like a freeform reshaping to really see to fit it the sketch here, because it gives that bit of imperfection. So we're still on the right layer, just checking. We have like land, random land, shore, here. So, and then drawing a lot of people. So, here we go. Different heads, because the part of the article that I am using this one for is about diversity of thought, of culture, right? Of reaching different types of people. So, and sometimes I just illustrate that with the different heads. Thank you for letting me know, Bruno, that the echo is gone. I did nothing for it to come or for it to leave. So I guess this will be something I have to figure out over time when I do more of these lives, why this is happening, right? But this is how I would, like, when you see it now zoomed out, it looks pretty cool. If you see it zoomed in, it doesn't look so cool, right? But it doesn't matter, because it's important that this looks good. We have 2 lines here that are quite important for the drawing and that I fear a bit to draw on the same layer because I can't change them anymore. So I would create a new layer and see that I draw that over like this, and then perhaps even a second one, because I need to most likely erase parts of the dynamic line here, like this. Make this perfect. I want to have like a good, I said don't be perfectionist, Holger, but I am a bit. I can't do anything about it. That looks good, like good perspective. That looks even better. Yeah, that looks even better. So perhaps I do something like this. This one is good. Okay, cool. And then I get rid of like the overlap here because I want that to go behind. Yeah, that looks good. And we can get rid of our drawing and add the shadows again. So same process, zooming in, always on the right and underneath, roughly. And I think for the people, I'm too lazy to add shadows to all the individual people, and they are pretty tiny as well. So I might just do like the shadow for the globe. Shadow for like a round object is not too easy. And to do that, I'm obtaining quite high pressure, by the way, to the surface of the iPad, because high pressure gives me personally more control. So I'm a like when I want to draw something very precise, I am either super light with the pressure and sometimes very high with the pressure. Okay, done that. We need the orange as a color, and I think the stars are perfect objects for color. Don't want to be too perfect here as well. We leave some white spaces. Like this. And now that I see it, perhaps this line here could be orange too. Let's see what happens if this is orange. Yeah, I think that's good. I think it works. We might add a little bit of blue for, let's see if that works, for the sea. Sometimes it's too much, so this will be a test. I think it looks good, isn't it? I think that adds a nice touch to it. And then the people. We got the other people white. And perhaps we leave it as is now. Or we do just a few. Not everyone. How about that? Yeah, I think that's good. Because it's about diversity. I will only use orange though, not like multiple other colors. Again, don't get too colorful. Will confuse people and weaken the brand of the illustrations. But I think that's I think I won't make them blue because it's the water. The water's blue. But I think white and orange, that works fine. Absolutely fine. Let's call that done. And make that invisible. Add the new layer. 25% again. And then go again. So this one is very short. It's just telling the story of like a unicornlet. We call it a unicornlet for the story, Kaya and the apple tree. And the unicornlet was just like the pet of the main protagonist. And it like the inspiration of that pet comes from my daughter, because she always said in German, like a funny word for a squirrel. She said, in German, a squirrel is called Eichhörnchen. And she always said Einhörnchen. So Eichhörnchen would be the squirrel, but Einhörnchen is something like a tiny unicorn. So we invented the unicornlet, which is basically a squirrel with a horn. Let's see, we're missing a horn. Now that I'm saying a squirrel with a horn, I think we should draw like a second ear here, and then make this like a horn. Like this. Yeah. Now it's a unicornlet. Bye, Bruno. Thank you. And this will be a very simple illustration. I'm not sure if the magazine will take it because it's very, very simple, but it fits the part of the story. So I wanted to offer them this illustration too. So sometimes it's just one small illustration, I think, that could illustrate a whole thing. But for them it might be, I'm not sure. It might be not enough. Wrong layer. I need the color layer. I have the feeling that they would say it's too empty. But then, you know, I don't know how you see it. I like these empty drawings sometimes. And we have like only like the format will be not that high. So basically it will be roughly like this. So all the illustrations will be cut here and here. It's only that, and that's why I like this illustration. Now let's see if they take it or not. We will see. You never know. You never know. Okay, so here we go. Then we have our second last piece, which is a bit more complex. We need the shadow layer on 25%. We need our black. And this is not about me. This is about other people. That's why this person has like a different type of head than the curly one that I use for myself. Because this is about classes or therapists who could use The Wrong Planet as a book to talk about being different. And that's why we have these different types of people. So let's start anywhere in the sketch. You see how it is so much easier to draw on the iPad when you have sketched the drawing before on paper, and you only have to basically follow the lines. It's very convenient to draw that way. Some people would say, isn't that boring? And I would say, that is my type of meditation. If I don't have a life on YouTube and talking to you, I mean, then it's not a real meditation anymore. But it's coming close, does it? And I hope it's enjoyable for you too to see the process. It's basically no magic or something. It's just step by step working through it, having the patience to do step by step, and not to say, I need to be finished in 5 minutes, okay? So you see those illustrations. I think we are at illustration 6 or 7 now. And we're close to a full hour of the stream. Takes a while, right? It's nothing that you do in 5 minutes. People always assume when they see me like doing visual facilitation and life visualization that everything that I draw, anything that I do, only takes like a few seconds. But that's not the case. It's not the case. It's different different use cases require different techniques and therefore as well different time invest. So let's see how we make this cute little platypus in a proper way. I think this way. The hands are only like shapes in this size, and then we have this the head. The head is a bit tricky now. I think that way will work. And then the beak should be this and this. See, when you zoom out again, actually looks good. We have the alien too, so they should look cute. They have a few fingers only. I think they have 4, but here they have 3. So small, doesn't matter. It matters. It matters to me. Let's say it like this. It matters to me. Like this. Even though people might not recognize it, but there might be a person who recognizes it and then says like, oops, I don't want that to happen. Ears, happy face, antenna. Here we go. Alien done. And then we have like a teacher or somebody. And I try to, again, if we keep the hands as simple as possible, sometimes they look on detail pretty awkward. But in the overall picture, here the hand is a bit too big, so I will adjust that right now. So the hands, again, when you look at them too closely, they might look a bit awkward and even wrong though. But in the overall picture, I think they work pretty nice that way. I think it's completely okay. And we want to be, again, as fast as possible as we possibly can, even though we take our time to consider, to think about some details. Right. And here we go. I think they should get shadows too in the picture. Makes them more 3D looking. It looks good. And that person here. Here we go. Let's see how it looks. Yep. Looks good, does it? Let's take the orange again and see. In this case, the book is important, but I think the people are more important on this picture. So my personal go-to for this one would be drawing the people orange. Again, I'm lazy and just filling it. That's a benefit of doing it digitally. You can use the filling option. Never draw this line too straight though, right? I think it's, if you have a very straight line here, I don't know, it doesn't look natural anymore. So just make a few shakes in between. Perhaps you shake anyway, like I do often. That's why I draw fast actually. When I draw fast lines, I don't shake that much. If I have slow lines, I'm shaking. Here it might be faster to just draw it out completely. See? Don't care too much if I, like this one is annoying to me, so I would get rid of the overlap, but if there's some white space where I've drawn orange, I think that's not too bad. It looks bad if we have that overlap, these kind of things here, right? These look bad, as if you didn't manage to do it, but the other ones are just fine. And then again, zooming in, zooming out really helps to get things right. So here we have two together, so we can use them. Just following the lines. Don't be too precious because you will not see them anymore. And go, right? How can you be as fast as possible? That's always the question with the fillings and the details down here. If I would draw alone without you being here, I would be making way more sounds when I'm drawing. I think that looks good. Now the alien is always green. I wonder if what's happening if we add the green. It looks strange here. What happens if we have green here? Because it's a green book. I think that could work. Let's do that. The book is pretty green, and I want to use the article as well to raise a bit of awareness about the book and to have a bit of a branding element for the book in the illustration. Can't hurt too much. So let's do that. Right, that's good. Yeah, I think that works. That works well. Good enough. Okay, and now we're close to the finishing line, so we have done this. Goodbye. And now we can go here, our last picture, and we're doing the same thing again. Middle layer will be for shadows. Top layer for lines. Size seems okay. And this is about me drawing, thinking about things, visualizing my future, and how we could communicate in a better way. So I wanted to express that with the illustration here. And deciding always the direction of the stroke will change the appearance of the line. So it's always as well thinking about how do I do it, right? How do I do it? So this hand is a bit messy. Let's see. Let's figure it out. Like, while we see basically the hand from this side. So basically we see the thumb here, and we see the fingers here, I guess, and we only see the pen here. Yes, that works. And some paper, light bulb again. You see there are the same icons all over again. We have the globe that we had before. We have a bridge for connecting people. The heart for emotions. And then a superhero. Superhero to indicate anything's possible. Last but not least, we have the thinking bubble, and not the thinking, the speech bubble. Let's do that this way, make it perfect. Get rid of this piece, so superheroes flying through. Then adding our shadows, zooming in to make them like more precise. Sometimes you don't even see them here when I'm drawing them, I guess. Here we go. The guy needs shadows as well. And pen. I think we need another line here for a table. And we need shadow here. And this might be too thin. Let's get rid of the sketch and let's get a bigger one. Even bigger. Let's go 100%. It's not big enough, so even 100% of this pen doesn't work. So let's go for another brush. This one here. It's not dynamic, but we don't need dynamic brush here as well. So let's see if we can get rid of the overlap here and here. There we go. And last but not least, I will draw myself again. Is that the wrong? Yes, it's the wrong pen. Draw myself orange in this case. Fit it. Like this. And zip. And I guess we, for the sake of the color, we draw. I imagine myself as a superhero often enough, so let's draw that orange. I hope you too, by the way. It helps thinking of yourself as a superhero with superhuman strength and abilities, because then you can face the day-to-day challenges in a better way. And here we go. Not too much color. Perhaps add a bit of color here, bit of color here. In these illustrations, the color is just for having some highlights. And with that, we're done. So what we have done is we have created a multiple of pictures. So we have created this illustration for thinking about concepts of communication and feeling better. We have done this about teachers working with the kids in school with the book. We have done this, the unicorn net, to show the power of imagination. We have done the globe for diversity of thought and of people. And then we have done first time myself seeing myself truly in the mirror, and writing the book for my daughter, and as well figuring out the process of knowledge into a book. So those are all the illustrations we did today together. It's basically a full hour done. I need something to eat and to drink. I hope you enjoyed this session. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Remember, I have an upcoming Kickstarter campaign. So if you are watching this in June 2024, I will have my Kickstarter campaign of The Wrong Planet, my illustrated children's book, launching on June 11th. And it will run for 2 weeks, roughly. So join that. I would be happy to have you there on Kickstarter. It's called The Wrong Planet. And beside that, I wish you a wonderful time and creative thoughts, and I see you next time. Bye. Take care.